Yeah.
We are back. You have to say back.
Right.
This real stuff. I'll show over the ground.
Yeah.
No other glasses for readers to screen.
She is.
There's a lot of them.
Good afternoon, welcome to the March 19th meeting of the Transportation Planning Organization. And this time I just want to make sure that we don't forget Mayor Turk, who's remote. I approved her being remote to drive in Richmond for the meeting. So there you go. At this time, let's go around the table, then go around the outside, introduce yourselves. I'm Phil North, Roanoke County, and Chair of the TPO.
David Radford, Roanoke County.
Mike Stone, sorry. Mike Stone, all town, but.
Cody Sexton, Chair of the TTC.
Peter Volson, City of Roanoke.
Megan Cronice, Roanoke County ex officio and vice chair of TTC.
Anthony Ford, Salem District VDOT.
Chris Dorsey, Salem City Manager.
Lori Smith, Franklin County Board of Supervisors Chair.
Hunter Holiday, Salem City Council.
Linda Rothman, Bonneton County Board of Supervisors.
Joe Cobb, Mayor, City of Roanoke.
Mike Stewart, Roanoke Blacksburg Airport.
Brandon, actually, Bonneton County Board of Supervisors.
Steve Fidikowski, Montgomery County Board of Supervisors, Vice Chair.
Virginia Mullen, Office Manager.
Jeremy Hall, the Regional Commission.
And over here on the outside door around here.
John McCoy, Bonneton County Planning Supervisor.
Barbara Dirk, Pedestrian Advisory Court Advocate.
Josh Pratt, City of Salem Staff Engineers.
Michael Gray, VDOT, Salem District.
Allison, Senate Regional Commission. Nita Megan, Tana Lincoln, Planning Department.
David Graham, Roanoke County Transportation Planner.
Board, Roanoke County Transportation Planner.
Dwayne Darden, City of Roanoke Transportation.
Greg Garden. Alleghany Regional Commission. Amaya Matthews, Regional Commission. Beth Heron, Regional Commission. Peter Menders, Commission.
Thank you very much.
That's good.
I'll take care of the roll call.
Grab this.
Item 3, approval of consent agenda items. We have item A, approval of the agenda. Item B, action on the February 26th minutes, but with respect to the agenda, we're going to, at the request of Ken King and discussion with Jeremy and I and Allison, we're going to amend item 5 by removing item C under item 5 on the agenda and carry that over until the April meeting. So I have approval to amend the agenda and to approve the action on the RVTPO.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Thank you. Like that. Remarks by the chair. It's Mayor Turk on here.
But if that. She's at phone calls, I believe that's Mayor Turk. Yeah, she is driving, so she's listening yet.
Good. At our last meeting, staff was directed to share a letter of support with our CTV board member, Dr. Ray Smoot, encouraging the CTV support of incorporating innovative intersections into the allowable project types for the high priority projects. And also asked the Commonwealth Transportation Board to consider preparing district grant pot to other projects within the district rather than statewide when calculating relative scores for smart scale. Dr. Smoot thanked the TPO for the letter and reports that these recommendations have been received favorably and are currently under consideration by the board. Though there is no clear timeline on when such changes might be considered. Thank you for this last meeting's discussion that led to these suggestions. Ms. Lori Smith, Chair of the Regional Commission, also shared a letter of support from the Regional Commission, focusing on the potential positive impact of these changes on our non-TPO suburban and dual communities. Transportation reauthorization continues to move forward at the federal level. Most recently, the bipartisan BASICS, which is Bridges and Safety Infrastructure for Community Success Act, was introduced in the House. While this board is not taking a stance at this time, we are closely watching the legislation's progress to make sure that it aligns with local and statewide needs. At the most recent CTV meeting, the board deferred action on the innovative intersections decision until the May meeting. We appreciate the policy board's actions last month to position the TPO and regional commission to support additional smart scale applications, and the CTV taken action in March. Finally, in additional smart scale strategy research, staff has been in communication with OIPI and the Virginia Economic Development Partnership to better understand the impact of the economic score on projects. Specifically, we are trying to understand how new greenfield projects on the VEDP rated sites fare against expansion and redevelopment projects. At this time, we have not received a satisfactory answer, but we'll continue to work with these agencies and report back as soon as possible. You have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I will note, actually, very recently, I did have a conversation with BEDP, so during the other business section of today's agenda, I'm gonna go over just a couple of slides, on what we think we know so far about that score, and maybe provide an opportunity for discussion or direction from the TPO.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And again, just a side note, the elimination of item 5C for this month, to carry it over to next month will allow CTP discussion to continue that may inform us on smart scale projects with their changes that they may take in the March and or April meetings. So there you go. Moving on to item number 5, round 7 surface transportation block grant and carbon reduction. Chair recognizes Allison Stinnett. Allison, you got a couple parts here to tell us about.
Mr. Chair, I apologize. We actually, we approved the agenda revision, but we do need to approve the full consent agenda of minutes from last month.
I was trying to get that bit go pretty good. Well,
We just approved the amendment to the agenda.
we approved it.
No, we did. We approved the whole thing.
I think we just.
Is Virginia telling me we didn't approve it?
Virginia's telling me to tell you.
We did.
I'll make a motion.
I second the motion to approve the minutes.
Did you change the agenda?
Everyone say aye.
I don't disagree.
This is what happens when you got a lot of laughs on the change.
That's right. Very busy practice.
It is a precedent. All right, so Allison, go ahead. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair. So before I get into this item, I just wanted to inform the people that do still have this loose paper on your table, disregard this. This will be in a future meeting, or a version of this will be, so just FYI for the people that I was unable to get the off the table, but. So we're going to talk about round 7 STP CRP, even though we are deferring action. I just wanted to give everybody an update of the status of everything. Okay, thank you. So at your table, in your agenda packet, you have these lovely colorful tables. And this identifies as the existing financial plan, and it has the existing balance entry that we have going into this development of the financial plan. And as well in this table, so if this is the first time that you're seeing this table, I will run through it very quickly. So this column is to the projects that have been funded through STG or CRP. And then the project UPC code, the total funds that are on the project that have been have been confirmed and that are people are actively drawing on, and then committed funds, and that is sort of like a historic thing between the difference between conditionally committing funding and committing funds. So that is just what that column is. I'm not sure right now if there's any changes, but they should be the same in both columns. And then usually if we have any changes of projects for the existing projects during this time, they show in this column, which those have already been implemented, the changes that we've had. And then on this far column is the status or schedule of the project. So this was the snapshot in time before we had started working on the new financial plan. So some of these projects have been closed out, and then in the next financial plan that I'm gonna show, you'll see that it looks a little different, but with that, during this process, we also update the project UPC and as well as the status or schedule. So that is in the next financial plan snapshot, so of the one that we're working on. Okay, I don't, it's still not working. Okay, so from the TTC recommendation, we had a robust conversation at the March TTC meeting to talk about projects. And we were lucky that this go around that we had enough money, technically speaking, to be able to fund all of the requests. And that was a part of the conversation that we had at the TTC where the desired start date, which the staff report, there is desired start date that on the tables for this item. So we talked about the desired start date and that there was potential for needing to move around start dates based on funding availability. So from that, we did decide that this TTC decided to move forward on recommending all of the projects. So I'm gonna go through them. So the fully funded projects and the difference between those. So to fully funded projects, those are projects that are requesting money to start construction, a study, or something like that. And then for the conditionally committed projects, those are to put leverage towards projects through the smart scale system. So
Are we waiting to get Renee on here?
did I continue? Yes. Okay. So that is.
Sorry, I'm
what
here
the-
now.
Thank you, Virginia.
So, so that is what the difference between, separating them. So, I'm gonna run through the top projects and then we'll go into the next section. So, the projects that were recommended to fully fund. The first one is the East Roanoke River Greenway Gap. That is for preliminary engineering construction phase. The West Roanoke River Greenway, phase 2, which is also preliminary engineering. The Roanoke River Greenway Underhill for construction. And then the Bonsack Railroad Crossing Elimination Study, that is for PE for the study. And then the Brambleton Avenue Mid-Block Crosswalk is all phases. So PE, preliminary engineering, right of way and construction for that entire project. So in your agenda packet, you have all this information with the requested amounts. And then for the conditionally committed funding, so these 4 projects requested funding to support their applications for smart scale as leverage. So that obviously would be, the whole project as well. And with funding all of these, this would leave about 3.2 million left in the for any out of cycle requests for this upcoming fall's SDBG round for existing projects. Okay, so this is the section of the updated financial plan, so you didn't have to see the whole thing. Which includes the 9 projects that are requesting funding. So I don't have the headers, but the difference between these 2 columns, this is the conditionally committed funding column that we had mentioned earlier. And this shows sort of the breakdown of the funding, so that $26 million number. And then this would be the remaining balance entry after funding all of these projects.
Go back that slide. One of the things Ken and I were talking about with respect to those projects on this slide here is there's no status, schedule, or explanation denoted. And so we'd like to see some explanation, and if that space isn't enough, then just provide a separate page. For example, the East River Greenway project is $90 million project. I don't think that the $2.7 million ask is for the whole greenway. It's probably for smaller pieces, and I think that's what the engineering amount that's shown on here is to study is how can we break it down into smaller pieces and then ask for the cost for those pieces. Because there is no way that we're gonna get $90 million for that in one application with leverage or not leverage from Smart Scale. We can't even get the state of Virginia to give us some money for a study on the airport, much less in airport improvements at 44 million. So I think that's what I'm talking about needs to be clarified so that the policy board all understands if this is articulated correctly, what we're exactly doing. So by next month, I'd like to see that on there.
So
Okay.
so I understand what you're saying. If, for instance, the application that we received was just for this amount for this construction phase. So,
I'm talking about for the committed funding. Where you have it right there, put your red dot on all those numbers
yes,
on the committed and conditionally, put on there what it's for, just a brief explanation.
okay,
And if you don't have enough room and you run out, then just put note at the bottom or have another sheet of paper with that information on it.
okay, so in the status column, would you want?
I want place
Okay,
on what we're trying to do,
okay,
because
So-
this board doesn't understand everything. And it helps for them to see what it is they asked us for.
right. I understand. I guess what I just wanted to clarify, because we wouldn't, unless the project was fully funded through SDBG, we wouldn't be having that 90,000 or $90 million.
I'm not saying put 90 million on
Right.
there, I'm saying explain the 2.7 in clarity detail.
Okay,
What
so
are you using it for?
more than just saying preliminary.
And I'm
engineering.
picking on Megan because I didn't think she was gonna be here today. She's supposed to be on vacation.
Special for this meeting, Mr. North.
When you,
I will be more than happy
you
to
violation
provide,
of vacation.
yes, sir, I am. I'll be more than happy to provide Allison with additional information
Well,
for
I don't
next
expect
meeting.
anything.
Yes,
Whoever owns those, let's get some explanation.
yes, absolutely.
And it's not for me, it was requested from others that I'm talking to.
Be happy to provide that
Thank
information.
you,
Mhm.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions on this? Yes, ma'am.
I just had a question. So it's broken down into little chunks. Does the award say for engineering and engineering design? Does that sort of pave the way to the next chunk, or does it increase the likelihood, or just who knows?
Would you like me to briefly explain? So the challenge that we have with Roanoke County section of the Roanoke River Greenway is we've had a number of right of way challenges on both ends. So we spent county funds over the last 2 years to study the gap from the city of Roanoke to about the Blue Ridge Parkway on the eastern end of the county. And working with ACOM, we had 4 community meetings, 2 sets of each, to talk with the community about all the potential ways we could connect the city of Roanoke section of the Roanoke River Greenway to the section that we built near the Blue Ridge Parkway. So we came up with a consensus alignment, which was Route A, which connects to the Tinker Creek Greenway and goes through the town of Benton with a 700-foot-long bridge over the Norfolk Southern Railroad tracks and the river to get to the south side of the river on land that Roanoke County now owns, which used to be part of Virginia Recreational Facilities Authority property, is Explore Park. So we have an alignment that's been agreed upon by the community and by our board of supervisors. What we're looking to do next is to start preliminary engineering on that route to determine what that could look like, what estimates are going to be, and then how to break up that piece into much smaller digestible pieces that we can start to apply for funding for and then construct. So this is the next baby step as we're moving towards filling that 3.5 mile long gap of greenway that's going to be challenging with little small pieces, but we need VDOT's help to be able to do that. And then we need VDOT's help to work on the right of way and construction. So it's the next step on the way to putting the greenway on the ground for 3.5 miles with a ginormous bridge over the Roanoke River.
Which has got a
Thank you.
ginormous price tag. too.
It does, and I'll be happy to provide more detail at the next meeting.
Well, I can promise you that it's not gonna get funded by the state of Virginia unless you get smaller amounts.
And that was always our intention, was to break it into very small pieces, to move a piece at a time to get the whole thing
And
done.
we don't know, but what they may come out with some restrictions in the next several months as they go through smart scale, tightening up everything except roads. We
We're
don't
not
know.
worried about smart scale for this project because smart scale has proved to be
I
not
understand.
helpful in the past for greenways,
$90 million.
for these sections of greenways.
Okay, what-
So we'll continue to look for funding opportunities across a variety of programs and perspectives.
Very good. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you for the question.
I,
Did you? That's your name tag there in front of you. I can't.
no, no,
Can't tell.
no, I don't know what it could be.
Okay, anyway,
I was just gonna say that I know a couple months back, we did have presentations about these projects, and I don't know if it would be helpful to do a high level of what that is to remind everybody what these projects are for, in addition to having that information, so I'm happy to.
you do whatever you think's best to satisfy my requirement, but I even wanted footnoted to see page 35 in the package or some such thing, or have it put into the spreadsheet.
Okay.
I mean, just make sure something's there,
Right.
because these folks need to know.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, we did have public comment on this, effort, and it ran from Friday, February 13th, to Thursday, February 26th, and the survey was advertised on the Cardinal News, the RVRC website, social media, and shared by TTC partners and community groups. For this, we tried a different exercise, and we used the funded type on our social pinpoint platform, where the 9 projects had graphics, or the concept of the project, and then if you clicked on it, it had the background information, the sponsors information, and then the total cost estimate being requested. So the exercise at the time, based on the information that we had for the total cost estimate, we had the exercise capped at $23 million. So the participants essentially had the ability to choose 8 of the 9 projects based on what we thought at that point the available funding was. So from that effort, we had 47 participants. We showed that we had higher participation with the 30 to 44 age groups. They're trying some different outreach efforts. So we've seen that we're getting younger demographics, and then the highest zip codes were from 2402 and 2415. And then on the table right here, this was the results from the survey. So it's really interesting that the public actually had similar votes with their, how they liked the projects compared to what the team and their review. BTC during this process has to review and score the project, so it's interesting to see how they correlated between what the TTC members had scored and what the public had scored the projects. So that is the summary of the public engagement. And I do believe that we'll be having the public hearing and then deferring the action to the next meeting.
Thank you, Allison. Any questions for Allison before we go into the public hearing on?
Yeah.
Anyone here in the room? Well, first, let's open the public hearing, and then is there anybody who hadn't signed up to the tabling around the room? Well, they got saved. But you don't have anyone who wrote in and said it was. Never. Is anybody online that wishes to speak? Don't have anybody else? Okay. We close the public hearing. And with that, we'll consider approving of the project next month. Thank you, Alice. I guess you get to stay up there for number 6.
Yeah.
Okay, this will be. This will be 24/27, fifth amendment number 7 with page 38 in the package. And we'll also have a public hearing after that.
So, we have a number 7 amendment to the FY 2027 TIF. And, this was a request by the Department of Rail and Public Transportation, the RVT. They distributed the request and, the project is titled Hope 01. And essentially it is for the Hope Tree Family Services, and they are acquiring single ADA accessible vehicle. And then here on this side is the table, so the funding table, this is going to be incorporated into the TIP. To show that they are, they'll have the funding available and then put into FFY 26 year. For the TIP. We go to the next slide. So we also had public engagement for this, and we had a newspaper advertisement in the Cardinal. And then we also posted on the website and a survey on the social point page. And on this side shows what the survey looked like. And then there was some additional information about what the tip is on the page. We had 16 views but no participants. When we have these technical amendments, we did the same sort of effort that we have for other things, and we did not have any participants for this effort.
Okay. The questions for Allison on this item number 6 before we open the public hearing. Okay. This time we will open the public hearing. We got anyone? We've had no request. No request. Don't anyone call in? Okay. All right, then we'll close the public hearing. Move on to item C, consideration of resolution approving item 6. All right, do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
And we have first, second over here. And
Second.
Brad? Any motion? All right, let's do the voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We'll move on. Stand approved and move on to item 7. Right, item 7. Draft our fiscal year 27 RVTPO work program found on page 4. Ongoing project and highlight. So,
Hey, Chris is not, he had a family emergency, so I will be the director of transportation, which I think scared our transportation staff more today. You have before you the draft, UPWP, that is a reminder that TPO approves the UPWP. We accept all projects that come to the commission, the TPO through one portal. February, then we figure out what's urban transportation projects that go to the other projects, including some transportation projects might also go to the work program. But this body explicitly approves the work program. This includes ongoing programs, so programs that we can carry over this year, either because they're just ongoing multi-year programs or because they're program projects that have been started in FY 26. Got new programs and projects have been accepted. You can see this broken down in the staff report and on the screen here. I want to highlight just a couple of things for you to just note as we look into next year. We are looking at the next full update of the ATP. That's a major undertaking. That is, we're always working on that, but we're looking at some major updates on that next year or two. Some of you may have participated in the last RVTV update and you kind of remember what that's like. So I'll be prepared to look at that again. Congestion management plan. We'll also be looking at revision. It's a technical process, but this body has seen the previous congestion management plan several times in the past, and we're looking at considering maybe a more rational or appropriate to our region version of that, and that will kind of move into next year. Greenway Master Plan update. We will probably start some of that before the end of this fiscal year, but the full 10-year plan for that is likely to kick off next year with a combination of resources from the UPWP and from the Greenway Commission as that position and those homes relocate to the commission this year from Roanoke County as a previous fiscal agent for that position. So those are some of the characters, just to highlight for you some of the new projects that we're looking at. We're always looking at ways to form better in smart scale, and we recall typology was one of the issues that came up during these presentations. So we're looking at whether or not there's a case of how to go about requesting typology change from CTB next year. Part of our Greenway work, we're also going to be looking at a intercept survey to try to differentiate. And we do regular counts. We know how many people or objects are moving through the Greenway. What we don't know is how many of those are pedestrians, cyclists, commuters, recreational users, etc. So we're going to be undertaking a survey problem understand who's using the Greenway and why. So that'll come again from a number of sources, UPWP, Yale sources. And then the flood-prone roadway study. One of the reasons I want to highlight that is that's an implementation coming out of the hazard mitigation plan. So many of your localities have or are about to adopt that work that Amanda McGee undertook last year. And so this is a part of the effort to kind of keep that going and start to implement some of the recommendations from the hazard mitigation plan. This is presented to you today just for information. We will have the formal adoption of the UPWP next month, but we want to give you an opportunity to look at the plan. So transportation staff can correct me if I missed any major highlights, but I think that covers the bulk of the where we stand with UPW.
Any questions on any of these highlighted or other, or for those that aren't highlighted? Okay, at this point, no one. I'll make one comment. You try to sell dreams. What's economic? Take some of this data, that survey, go see John Hall and get him to give you a back there. Because if you're trying to get funds on these things, and you don't have an economic impact, you're not getting the attention of the people that are gonna consider this enrichment. I don't care if the number's right or wrong, you put a number in. I mean, you need a number. And they ask you that on the airport.
Sometimes that doesn't matter.
And sometimes when you have a number, it doesn't matter, but you don't, when you don't have the number, they do what? Like, they ask for them.
Always.
Then you gotta go see John Hall on Friday to get it to the governor on Monday, so I'm just saying. It's better to have it than not to have it, because if you don't have it, that'll slow it down even longer. And people lose interest, they're like, oh, these people weren't serious, they didn't have any legit reason beside the aesthetic value of the Greenway. You need to have that economic impact, because it does come with the territory.
And I will note, so, this is just the urban transportation planning program. We do have an economic impact of the Greenway project in the regional commission. Because we don't use transportation dollars to fund that work. That's funded out of EDA and other programs. But to your point, I'm sure there's going to be linkages here, but we will be looking at that issue next year.
We just need to get to that.
We will go into that. Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah, Mike.
just a quick question. The travel demand model, what does that encompass?
That is predictive information for our surface transportation. So we use that for.
It's really a VDOT
Yeah.
model. It's it's issued and managed by the state, but each, we're a district, has its own model that relates to the land use, and growth of the region. So I guess it gets updated every 10 years, more or less. So this is the next major update that a region will go through, but it's mostly a VDOT led work. We're just gonna be providing data and just collaborating with VDOT.
Okay.
But it's surface transportation.
Okay, all modes.
I don't think it involves airport if you.
No, all modes of ground transportation.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think that's what.
Mr. Chairman, it's not on the agenda. I won't take the minute or two, but it is appropriate. Yes, that I give some brief update of the Greenway Commission. Since you
want to hold that under comment period.
I will if you want me to. You brought up the Greenway Commission and planning. I'll address that.
Did you do it?
Do it later.
Give a quick overview now, or want you to do it on the comment period?
I'll do it whenever you chair wishes.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to item number 8. There was no action on item number 7. Item number 8, sanitation improvement program, page 41. Yeah, Alice, you still up there?
Hello. So, I know we just talked about the tip and, so I realized that then we might not know what that is, so I'm gonna explain it in this item. So, what is the TIP? And we have a lot of acronyms, but it is the Transportation Improvement Program. It is a 4-year financial program that describes the schedule for obligating federal funds to state and local projects and partners. The TIP contains federal funding information for all modes of transportation, including highways, transit, and pedestrian facilities, not there. And then the TIP also reflects projects and priorities. I forgot rail too, sorry. Priorities identified in the long range transportation plan. So, we are currently in the development of the next version of this. So, in the previous item, I referenced 24 to 27, and now we're in the 27 to 30. So this item is the draft FFY 27 to 30 TIP. And in this item, we will show the information that is incorporated into the document at a high level. So the first thing that we have is the total cost estimate by project listings. So this is sort of what some of the tables look like. These two, it's a very technical document. And so let's see. This information is distributed by VDOT. This information is, we'll get to the DRBT in a minute. And it outlines the total cost estimates for each of the groupings and what the Roanoke NPO interstate project lots look like. And I just said a word that you might not know, so I'm gonna say the grouping categories is in this table. And they are made to help administratively group similar projects together to help fiscally constrain projects, but also limit complications or changes to the developmental timeline of the projects. So similar projects kind of get lumped in together, and that's why you see like these really big numbers where the total cost estimate. So like this project isn't one project, it could be 25. So hopefully that explains what this table kind of looks like. And then let's go. Okay, thank you. Oh, no, you can go. And so before we had talked about an amendment. So whenever you hear of an amendment, that means that whatever the project, needs to be changed. It meets a certain funding threshold if it is grouped. And then for any ungrouped project, then that requires public comment period, public hearing to allow people time to give feedback on the changes. So whenever we hear amendments, that is sort of what causes us to have to do those. So that's why we've had 7 now for the existing plan. And so this is the information that we received from the Department of Rail and Public Transportation. And this is their tip sheets. So that's how we kind of keep track of everything, and everything's in tables. And similar to VDOT, DOT is going more towards a grouping type system to help with development of similar projects as well. So these are the tip sheets that they had shared with us. So we have one for every project grouping. And I've just incorporated these, which I need to update. So the Roanoke County one is this one, and it is actually just for the Fortune program. So that was a mistake on my end, but it is just for the Fortune program. And then these that are down here is for Valley Metro. So there is one for each of the grouping type for Valley Metro. And I'm happy to go through them if you would like, but there is quite a few. So, but hopefully, instead of having I think on our last step, we might have had up to 20 projects. Now we only have this many to like really see. So it is higher level. So,
And if you click on that item in the package, you can pull up all this data that you're showing us.
yes. So the document was attached in the staff report. Right now it is just the main content of the tip. It does not have the appendices, but by next meeting, we will have the appendices available for everyone. And here we go to the next one. So we're asking if you have any comments or feedback on the document by April 3rd. And we will tentatively have public engagement from April 17th to April 30th. And we plan to have it advertised through the Cardinal, the website, monthly newsletter, and email campaign. And then we also have developed a new social pinpoint site that is just for the tip to keep them separated from the long range plan. So next meetings, just to expect at the TTC, we'll have the full document ready for them so they can make the recommendation. And then we will be back here in May with all of the information ready to go for you all. So,
Thank you. Any questions for Allison? It's 20-page document, so, we'll see it next month, I guess. The details, very good. No questions? And we'll move on to item number 9, the 10th study regionally significant priorities. Allison, tell us about pages 42 and 43 of the package.
yes, sir. So we took the feedback that you all had from last month and we worked together with the TTC on really honing in on what the top regional priorities were. So this first list is the top 9 priorities and they are kind of long. I am going to run through them just so everybody can see them. But so I'm going to go in order. So the first one is the support expansion of the Roanoke-Blacksburg Regional Airport. Number 2 is support the regional and beyond expansion of Amtrak service. Number 3 is support of Blue Ridge Innovative Corridor BRIC. Number 4 is to continue supporting I-81 widenings and operational improvements, including improved detour routes between the Roanoke and River Valleys. Number 5, improve US routes 11, 15, 17, 20, 220, 221, 311, 419, and 460 corridors with multimodal upgrades to reduce congestion and increase safety and capacity. Number 6, continue updating and implementing the Roanoke Valley Greenway Plan, bikeway plans, pedestrian plans, transit plans, and regional truck parking study. Number 7, improve access to the Explorer Park from the Blue Ridge Parkway and Roanoke and Bedford County. Number 8, improve access and associated maintenance of the Virginia Triple Crown segment of the Appalachian National Scenic Trail, which includes Dragon's Tooth, McAfee's Knob, and Teton Cliffs. Number 9, to improve the transportation network, start with innovation corridor partnerships, including the City of Roanoke, Correllian Clinic, Virginia Tech Correllian School of Medicine, Maryland Biomedical Research Institute, Bradford University, Correllian, and surrounding communities. So I know that was a lot. But we thought that it seemed as if the consensus behind the TTC that these seem to be like the good list for the top 9. We also thought that potentially there could be a smaller list with summarized from this list. So that is what is on the next slide. To make it to be like a top 5 priority list, to be further summarized. And then, so this information is essentially the same from the last, but they have been summarized together. And then hopefully, if we were going to do a card with the priorities, like the legislative agenda, that we could have on the opposite side what some of these actual projects are supporting these sentiments about the regional priorities.
Very good. Like that thought. Anybody got any questions? There's nothing to vote off here.
Yeah.
Josh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I was just gonna channel my inner Phil North here and ask for details on these. Just thinking specifically, like, for example, number 2, transportation networks. I know we're talking about Interstate 220, but are we also talking about public transportation? Are we talking about multimodal? Just to have more details on what specifically we're looking to accomplish through these priorities would be helpful to me.
Okay. I will just say to support that is that we do have a list of roughly 40 projects that all of our partners have been able to give us. And I know transit is on that list. To further deep down into what the specific projects are. But anyway, back to your point, we do have that information and we can support your requests with building from that information that we already have. To help identify what these actually mean. So in the plan, I was hoping the way that it is set up right now, that we would have these sort of the priorities, and then underneath of it, we could have examples of what those projects actually are. So.
Any more questions for Allison? Allison, good job today on everything you presented, but this is particularly important. In some consideration of parts of these, especially the top 5, should be embedded in legislative agendas that you may adopt in your counties, towns, cities. Because the more that's shared amongst them, but the more that's put in front of elected officials, the more they see that we're all on the same page. Whatever it's worth, even though sometimes it doesn't work out so well for us, does it? But we're not finished yet.
We're just gonna change tactics.
I mean, when people open the door and they see Eric Monday there, they know that he's come back 2 or 3 times. You better start taking it real seriously if you haven't been already. Anyway, thank you. Allison, if there's no further questions, we'll move on to other business. Is there any other business to come before the commission?
Yes, now. Mr. Chair, you can just, there's a couple slides in, the next month. And so I wanted to provide a brief update on some of the conversations that we've had to date around this aspect of the smart scale scoring. So we're talking about and looking at the ED1 scoring, economic development scoring factor for smart scale projects. You might remember, this was one of the kind of more significant changes to round 6. And largely what the changes were is that only scored projects basically in relation to VDP sites. So previously, the economic development score was a lot more self-defined by the project submitter. And this really sort of narrowed it down to some statewide databases and VDP's Virginia scan project. So we wanted to get a better sense of what that meant. And to do this, we looked at the Wells Fargo expansion in Roanoke County. Well, that is, it's 1,000 new jobs. That's the biggest economic development announcement in the history of the Roanoke Valley. So how would transportation projects score around, relative to that? If there was a transportation need around that project, how would that look under the new ED1 rubric? Because that's not a VDP site, but it is a huge economic development announcement. And what we basically have determined so far in our conversations, at least with VDP, is that a project in all other ways that would have scored equally well on the non-economic development considerations would score much worse on an existing business expanding versus a greenfield site. I think if you change a slide, there you go. So if you took away Wells Fargo altogether, a transportation project on Plantation or 81 would score better. And the reasons are, if you go one more slide, is these factors in the ED scoring rubric. Because the 2 primary things are our site is a site listed in Virginia scan. So Virginia scan is a tool VDP uses to market available sites for development, which means they do not include current businesses. There's been a business at this site since 1960, so it was never going to be included. And Virginia scan is a marketable site. So right off of the bat, one of the first scores is this project, what's the distance from a site in Virginia scan? So it's not going to score any points there because it's not a site in Virginia scan. One of the, if you look at step 3, that looks at, funding. So one of the other elements of the scoring is it looks at investment across 3 specific statewide databases: Virginia Business Ready Sites Program, Tobacco Commission funding, and Go Virginia funding. So it looks at, did that economic development project relative to the site, has it received funding from any of those programs? Again, Wells Fargo expanding 1,000 new jobs would not have received a Virginia Business Ready Site Program, Go Virginia, or in our case, we wouldn't have received Tobacco Commission funding, we don't qualify. So it would have failed on that front. It also looks at site visits. So one of the things that he's trying to do is in the interest of developing a site by, has that site received any visits from prospects over some previous time? That is information the BDP collects. Again, an operating business expanding will not have received site visits from prospective investors, so it would have scored nothing on that factor. And then the last is the tier readiness. So undeveloped sites in BDP's database are certified in various tiers from 0 to 3 or 4 based on the level of infrastructure. That is, it just a plot of land, or does it have water, sewer, is it graded, etc. So the more ready it is to receive development, the higher the tier rating is. Best we can tell, discussing with BTP, an existing business, it's not in Virginia scan, would not have a Virginia Business Ready site tier rating. So as best we can tell at this moment, this scoring factor does not serve well for expansions and redevelopments. And what that reason that's meaningful is 85% of the economic development announcements in the Roanoke Valley are expansions. 60% statewide of economic development announcements in the Commonwealth are expansions. We don't have very many greenfield sites in the Roanoke Valley, and given the number of issues, we are unlikely to develop a huge inventory of new greenfield sites in our region. So we're really concerned that, assuming we are understanding this correctly, that this scoring, this system does not help us in developing the infrastructure that would support growth and expansion when necessary. So in this case, we didn't need a transportation project by Wells Fargo, but I think there are some things that are coming that could benefit from understanding the development, economic investment on this particular corridor. This is just this one case, but we picked it because it's, again, largest economic development announcement in the history of the valley. You would think that would be a really good case for that driving potential transportation investments.
And this is just one on this corridor. Elbit is the
Right.
other that's even announced more recently.
Right, so things like the Carillion expansion, these expansions in West, anything like that, expansions of business of existing businesses, regardless of the potential impact, will never seem to score well in this particular structure. So this is, I just spoke with Michael Draylen with the real estate department at BDP yesterday. So this is kind of the analysis since yesterday afternoon. We're going to take this back and run this through OIPI to make sure that our understanding of this is correct. But I just wanted to update folks where we are, since we're having these smart scale discussions. There may be changes coming up, and since this was a pretty dramatic change, we wanted everyone to know sort of where our analysis is landing so far. We've also been engaging the regional partnership, and they're in agreement with us that the scoring does not help the kind of work that they're doing around economic development prospects and investments in the Roanoke Valley.
And just to add some fodder to that, 2 examples are projects, smart scale projects that should be applied for in round 7. Plantation Road transit access and pedestrian safety improvements along Hirschberger to Hollands Road. That's close to this area. Anything that Peters Creek corridor is, especially Peters Creek Road and Williamson Roundabout. If you're gonna flood the marketplace, and it's a good thing, with more employees, they gotta drive over the same roads. So we ought to get some consideration for some dollars for projects that are going on around there. And And if you don't have any going on around an area that some of it is, you may very well because of the increase in traffic. And so this is a good worthy effort. In fact, Dr. Smoot, get him on board to advocate us at the CTV because he's brought up a point earlier about district grant pot being considered over other statewide projects when folks in the district compete for dollars is probably kinder to us than it is being compared to the statewide project. So if he has success with that, this may be very well something we can get Nick Donahue and the OIPI and other transportation folks to consider in Richmond, because to Jeremy's point, we're not manufacturing any more land, and the land we've got is, you know, pretty much restricted in many ways. And so it's worth it. Thanks, Rick.
We understand, you know, part of the goal of this was to help capitalize on investments the state has made in sites and to try to make sure we move those forward, but we also just want to make sure that the organic market-driven growth locally is not at a disadvantage to receive transportation, you know, associated transportation funding. I'm happy to, if there's any questions, this is just information share, but if you've got any questions, I'm happy to take their matter back to the VDP or would be in future conversations. And I think at some point, we're not at the point where we are understand what recommendations or changes we might be requesting until we learn a little bit more. Maybe I do expect that we'll be coming back to this body for some ideas, not unlike the letter that we wrote at the last meeting to Dr. Smooth about the DGP and innovative intersections changes.
One of the examples is the request for $2 million to the city to study Wanju exit, I think, to the cancer center. I mean, it's a brand new structure down there. It's gonna have increased traffic affected by that too. So there's another example that hasn't really occurred yet, but that's in the progress.
Like all of our growth primarily is existing expansion of existing businesses in our region, 85%. So we just want to make sure we encourage the CTV to make sure that they're capturing that.
Right.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your time.
Any other questions? Jeremy on that, there being none, let's continue on with any other business that comes close to issue. You want to have any other business? Okay. What's that? I'm going on the comments by policy board members, and I've got Lee, you're first up.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome.
Did you say anything about the Greenway Commission in the comments?
Not for the TPO, no, not good.
Right. Well, I don't always update.
I'm sorry, Ms. Schubert has his hand raised, but you.
Who's that?
Ms. Schubert online with DRPT.
Oh, okay, sure.
But you can wait till after Mr. Osborne gets this.
We'll be with you in just a second.
Okay. You know, this may sound complicated, but I represent Roanoke County on the regional commission on this body, and I'm a non-voting member here. And then I represent this body on the Greenway Commission, and I'm a voting member on the Greenway Commission. So it would be appropriate, I think, for me to update this group on what's going on with the Greenway Commission and try to do that periodically, but maybe not as often as we have done with the regional commission itself. And part of that, main reason for that is that the regional commission is very much now involved with the Greenway Commission. And I'm not taking any thunder away, but we have finally gone through the process. We entered into a memorandum of agreement with David that the Greenway Commission is our fiscal agent. Excuse me, that the regional commission is the Greenway Commission's fiscal agent. And that was an important step that had to be done before we move forward. And part of that planning goes beyond just simply being our fiscal agent. The Greenway Commission actually will be employed. I get these commissions mixed up. The regional commission will actually be employing the Greenway coordinator. And Jeremy will announce who that is going to be. I won't take that away from him, but we're excited that someone will be starting on April the 9th. And you want me to go ahead and say what it is, or do you want? Okay, so it's someone named Molly Maxwell. I've not actually met her, but she has been doing similar work in Carbondale, Illinois, and we're really looking forward to having her come and bring her skills and knowledge and experience to this area. Now, how does this relate to what you were saying at the TPO? Apart from the changes that will make here in the regional commission, which we consider that to be very positive and an asset. The funding that has been historically going to the Greenway Commission will now be committed towards the regional commission through its normal budget process, which is the work program. And so the things that as you all may, I assume, are aware, the work program for the regional commission is divided pretty much into three parts. Part of it is the transportation planning part that you all consider and approve. Part of it is the rural planning, transportation planning, and then the third part is the regional commission itself. And so the Greenway funding comes in all three pieces. What this body mostly sees is the actual getting stuff done, in terms of physical projects. But you saw the update of the strategic plan that is required by the intergovernmental agreement for the Greenway Commission, and it is time that we do that in the next year and a half. And Molly will be very much part of that, and the regional commission will be very much part of that. But that we are hopeful that will include some of the economic impact analysis that you said was important that we include. And it's not going to be as simple as asking John Hall to be honest with the numbers.
He did give you another.
But obviously,
There's a big number.
yeah. But anyway, so that's positive news. I want this group to know where things stand. But
There's two types of economic development impact. One is using a software package, feed data into it, and it gives you some numbers for output, which is pretty quick. Then there's another one that you want to do it to a study that can lead to it as well.
yes,
So, anyway, when the governor asked for something on Friday, you don't have time for a study, you have to get the answer on Monday. There's a difference, and that's a good point. Has she been here already?
She, as she was moving, first day will be April 7th. She did visit. She spent a weekend here as part of her interview process. So, very much enjoyed it.
Good deal. Look forward to hearing some good news. All right.
I would be remiss not to thank Roanoke County for the many years that they served as fiscal agent. Very good. Significant contribution
It's been a long number of years, 20 more.
yeah, close to 30.
Very good, thank you.
So the Greenway new person will be part of.
Will be a member of the staff of the regional commission. Yes, yes.
We're transferring business.
Which is what the county administrators want.
Yep.
But we see it as plus, very much plus.
Say that again. What'd you just say?
Your physical responsibility is transferred from the county to the region.
Oh, I got it.
Yep. That happens a lot. We got room for all these new responsibilities. I'll pull up and see a trailer in the parking lot, I'm gonna know it's in the ball.
Something like that. But just as a quick, well, I may not have shared this as much with the TPOs. I had a previous commission meetings, but as Ross points, so that position will move here. Year to year, the amount of their duties that's specifically related to what's traditionally been the Greenway coordinator may vary depending on the amount of work. Part of the reason we're really excited about Molly is she's the AICP with 9 years of city planning in general and trails and recreation planning. So the balance of her time as part of the work program process will also be spent on assisting the Allegheny Highlands and their recreation planning. She'll be taking over the Blue Wave program. So there's complementary recreation and trail and particular outdoor economy work that will be part of her role in addition to her duties around the Greenway coordination and administrating the Greenway mission. So,
Thank you. Anyone else got any comments?
Mitch, so Hubert.
Yes, Mitch.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
All right. Greetings from sunny Richmond. Just a couple of brief updates from DRPT. As was announced last month as well, but our Coordinated Human Service Mobility Plan, our CHISM plan, was released in February. So that's available for review online. on our website, and that is guiding the FTA's 5310 program, which was that amendment you oh so graciously approved today. So thank you very much for that. Our ongoing federal fiscal year 27 to 30 STIP development is moving right along with our deadline for all of our MPOs to approve their next round of their local tip by the end of next month. So looking forward to hearing from that in the coming weeks. And if you weren't already aware, our state rail plan kickoff has commenced and is in full swing. Our survey is out, but it closes this Friday. So if you haven't had a chance to fill that survey out, guiding Transforming Rail in Virginia 2.0, feel free to go ahead and do that by the end of tomorrow. And that would be greatly appreciated by our rail team. And that will be it from us for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything you want to bring? Share with us? If not, I've got something that was just given to me recently. Here's why Virginia has the best highways in the country. Hold on for this. According to Reason Foundation's 29th annual highway report, released Thursday last week, thanks to its smart cost benefit analysis to pick its highway projects, its excellent bridge work, its safe highways, and its innovative uses of tolls, Virginia took home the top spot in the report's ranking. In this year's report, Virginia places first, followed by Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Ohio. Bringing up the rear are Alaska, California, Washington, New York, and Louisiana. Possibly the region of California's down at the bottom of the list because everybody needs it. I'll have to fix those. Anyhow, it's worth noting that the highest ranking states do well with practices can be duplicated. Let's look at Virginia's first place status. What Smart Scale and a similar process in North Carolina does is it ensures transportation revenue is being spent on the most needed projects. For example, widening State Road 100 would reduce delays by 100 hours, but cost 10 million. While widening State Route 200 would reduce delay by 150 hours, which is another road, but cost 20 million. While the second project would have a bigger impact, it would cost twice as much. So under a quantitative analysis selection process, the state would choose the first option. But in other cases, including in a more political decision-making process, that was before Smart Scale, the state might choose the second. Yet the $10 million the state did not spend could be better directed to other projects. It kind of goes in hand with what we learned last round 6. When Richmond had smaller projects and many more at smaller price tags that got more projects funded. Secondly, Virginia is a leader in how it innovates, implements, and maintains bridges. It is one of the states to use jointless bridge design and 3D modeling. Maintaining bridges is one of the top priorities of any state DOT. However, Iowa and West Virginia have been slow to adopt innovative solutions. And thirdly, for a largely rural state, Virginia has a low fatality rate. Generally, more urbanized areas such as Massachusetts have lower fatality rates than more rural areas, such as Wyoming, because vehicles are traveling fewer miles at lower speeds. Virginia's low fatality rate is due to roadway design, including good visibility, straight distances, etc. Finally, in traffic congestion, where the state performs the worst, Virginia has several innovative approaches in Northern Virginia. The state has built a network of variably priced optional toll lanes called managed lanes. Since those lanes are new capacity, they reduce traffic congestion for drivers who use these lanes and for those who use the free lane. And those lanes help pay for themselves by reducing capital. I-66 inside the Beltway uses a similar pricing concept, but for the entire highway. The section of highway is the only corridor-based congestion pricing facility in the nation. How about that? So I guess, having said all that, when we sometimes say, well, I wish we had the roads North Carolina does. Well, they're second this year, we're first. I think we ought to be thankful for what we got. And all the political noise was removed when Smart Scale came about, which was the reason it came about many, many years ago. So I look forward to more successes in round 7 than we got in round 6. Just 1 or 2.
Just one.
Anyway, ending on a positive note. Any more comments? If not, I'll make. Yes,
The governor has issued a bike month proclamation and it is in the hands of our Secretary of Transportation.
very good, thank you. Is that like in the month of April?
May.
May. Good, we got time to get your bikes ready, hit the trails. And I know you'll be out there.
Right.
Anyone else? Mike?
Well, just, I know you mentioned it last month, but since I wasn't here last month, thanks to everybody for the support that you have and always do provide to us. And I really want to give a shout out to, somebody I consider to be the biggest champion we got around here, and that's Terry Austin, because we wouldn't have gotten where we got without him. And Chris Edwards right in there with him, but, the support of those folks has been fantastic, and we'll figure this thing out. We'll find something they want to say yes to.
Yeah, well, the road to money in the Commonwealth is through Senator Louise Lucas. That's the name of that too, right there. You get her on your side, you'll get anything. Really will.
Let me ask Mike a question. How's the Dallas route working out?
They just, I don't have any early data on it. The booking curve, America tells me, is somewhere in that 30 to 90 day range now. So we're just starting to get into that. Looking just at the seat map, which I go in and do every once in a while, just kind of see what seats are disappearing. Coach seems to be filling up fairly quickly with it. They believe it's mostly the connections beyond Dallas that are probably being sold right now versus local traffic back and forth. But, you know, if we look at it, Dallas, been the biggest unserved market for 20 years here probably. And about 70% of the local Dallas traffic out of this region is currently driving somewhere else to fly. So if we get back just a fraction of that 70%, this is going to be full all the time. But I joke, but I wasn't joking the other day when I was talking to a group up in Capitol Hill. If we don't fill this one up, we won't get another flight. Yeah, anywhere. So,
Well, we're still flying to Denver.
we can connect you through there.
Okay.
When we don't use it, you lose.
Exactly right.
Good point. Anybody else? If I have a motion to adjourn,
So move.
second, stand adjourned. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No.
Y'all ever read it down there?
You do better.